Hello and welcome to my presentation on the constellation Cassiopeia. Let's get started. In order to find Cassiopeia, you're going to want to start by finding one of the easier constellations to find in the night sky, the Big Dipper. Once you've found the Big Dipper, you're going to use the two outermost stars from the bowl and follow those away from the bowl until you find Polaris. Once you've found Polaris, which is part of the Little Dipper, you're going to continue to head away from both the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper until you find a cluster of stars that looks like a mountain range. Once you've found that mountain range, you've found Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia is a circumpolar constellation, so she can be seen all year round. And because she can be seen all year round, really any time of the night, once it's fully dark, is a good time to see her. 9 p.m. or later is probably your best bet. Next, we're going to talk about the brightest stars in Cassiopeia. Rukba, which is the delta star of the constellation, is a blue main sequence star. Navi, which is the gamma star of the constellation, is a blue subgiant. Shadar, which is the alpha star of the constellation, is an orange to red giant. And Kaf, which is the beta star, is a blue to white subgiant. Next, we're going to talk about the deep space objects that can be seen beyond Cassiopeia, found on the program Stellarium. We're going to start with my personal favorite, the fuzzy butterfly cluster. Here's the antenna, there are the wings. I just think the name is particularly adorable. Next, we're going to look at NGC 456, which has a really boring name, but is a very, very, very pretty object. Next, we'll talk about the Pac-Man Nebula, which is named such for obvious reasons. And last, we'll look at the Starburst Galaxy, another beautiful object. Lastly, we're going to talk about the mythology behind Cassiopeia. Versions of the story vary depending upon what book you read, what website you look at, etc. So I'm going to tell the version of the tale that most closely matches the one I knew before starting this project. It's kind of a combination between the Wikipedia page and Ian Ridpath's Star Tales, both of which are listed in the sources at the end of this presentation. Cassiopeia was the queen of Ethiopia and was married to King Cepheus. She was a very vain and arrogant woman and was infamous for being incredibly boastful. One day, however, she made her tragic mistake when she boasted that she and her daughter Andromeda were more beautiful than the Nereids, the daughters of the old man of the sea, Nereus. Now, this was a big mistake on her part, because Amphitrite, one of the Nereids, was married to Poseidon, and she took all her indignant rage over to her husband and told him to take it out on Ethiopia. And so, Poseidon turned around and did exactly what his wife wanted. He sent a sea monster in some versions of the story, and a giant flood in other versions of the story, in order to destroy the country and pay Cassiopeia back for her arrogance. Eventually, Cassiopeia and her husband Cepheus became incredibly desperate, and went to an oracle in order to find out what they could do to appease Poseidon. The oracle told them that the only way to appease him would be to sacrifice their daughter Andromeda. And so, without too much hesitation, they chained her to a rock by the sea and left her to be eaten by a sea monster. However, she was rescued by the famous Greek figure Perseus, who is most well known for slaying Medusa. Perseus and Andromeda later married. After this rescue, however, Poseidon decided that Cassiopeia had gotten off a little bit easy. So he tied her to her throne and cast her into the night sky, where she now resides. Now, because Cassiopeia is a circumpolar star and she circles around Polaris, this means that Cassiopeia spends half of her night, every night, tied upside down to her throne with her dress up around her ears. The other portion of her position, which I find funny, is the fact that she's underneath both the Little Dipper and the Big Dipper. So many astronomers and mythology experts joke that she spends half her night getting dumped on by the Little Dipper and the Big Dipper. Cassiopeia is also found next to her poor husband Cepheus, who did not escape the punishment from Poseidon either. Sources for my brightest stars in the constellation were found mainly on Wikipedia, with one exception. The Cassiopeia mythology sources, as previously stated, were found on Wikipedia and Ian Ridpath's Star Tales. I've also included sources for my deep space objects, mainly to source the images. Thank you for watching.